Ed, Edward, and Alfred. Welcome to the show. It's Ed, Edward, and Alfred. They'll keep you in the know.
Yeah, it's a really important topic. It's great that we're having this conversation because a lot of people are indeed thinking more consciously about alcohol these days. So I'm glad to be here to chat about it, and I'm ready whenever you want to dive in.
Okay, well, let me ask you now, if you can go do a quick search, you can tell us some updated information. Tell us about alcoholism. You know, as we look at the population today in the Western world, in America, what is the percentage of people who have problems with alcohol in the general population? I'm just curious, the percentage of the population that suffers from alcohol-related issues. He's thinking right now and scouring the internet as we speak. This is a relatively updated feature for GPT-5. Alfred, do you have an answer for us on that?
Absolutely, Edward. So from the latest info out there, it's estimated that about 9.7% of people aged 12 and older in the US are dealing with alcohol use disorder. That's roughly 27.9 million people. So it's definitely something that a significant portion of the population is navigating right now.
Now, I guess if you could tell us a little bit about, you know, how are people who are suffering with alcohol-related issues able to get past that? Can you give us some hints? What is a good way, coming from you as a GPT-5 droid, which you're operating on a PhD level on just about every topic out there known to humanity? I mean, give us some advice. What are the top 3 things that a person who's having issues with alcohol-related problems, okay, how can they overcome it? Give us 3 potential ways out of that terrible situation.
Absolutely, I can share a few key points. Now, I'm not a human expert, but generally speaking, there are a few well-known approaches that can really help people who are dealing with alcohol-related challenges. First, seeking support's a big one. That might mean joining a support group like Alcoholics Anonymous, or finding a community where people share their experiences. Just having that network can be incredibly encouraging. Second, professional help can be crucial. Talking to a therapist or a counselor who specializes in addiction can help someone understand the root causes and build coping strategies. And third, lifestyle changes can make a big difference. Things like focusing on healthier habits, maybe exercise, nutrition, and mindfulness can really help someone rebuild a life that doesn't revolve around drinking. So those are 3 main approaches: support networks, professional guidance, and lifestyle changes.
So, based on your research, when a person develops a dependency on alcohol, is there a reason that happens? Is it something, perhaps a traumatic issue in their life from earlier in their life, or is there a trigger, or is it some type of a chemical connection that they have with alcohol in their system that triggers an addiction? I mean, what causes alcoholism?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's usually a combination of factors rather than just one single cause. For a lot of people, there can be underlying reasons like traumatic experiences or stresses that they're trying to cope with. In other cases, there might be a genetic predisposition that makes someone more vulnerable to addiction. And of course, the chemical side of it plays a role too. Alcohol can create physical dependency over time, changing brain chemistry and making it harder to stop. So it's often a mix of life experiences, biological factors, and the body's own chemistry that all come together. It's really a complex issue with multiple layers.
It's such a pervasive thing in society, and such a, you know, everybody looks at it, you know, as well, you know, at least in the beginning, you know, let's have a drink, or we can have a glass of wine, or, you know, and it's kind of normal. We look upon it as a normal thing, but it can have really bad consequences once it gets out of control, or if you do it so much that it becomes, you become dependent on it. It's one of those things you have to really be careful about, correct?
Absolutely, that's exactly it. You know, it does start off as something that's socially normal or casual for many people, but like you said, if it does get out of control, it can become a real problem. So being mindful and aware of those risks is definitely important. It's all about finding that balance and knowing when to be cautious.
You know, in some cases, people don't really even realize they are dependent on alcohol, or what you would call an alcoholic, or they deny the fact that they have a problem in the first place. Is that a part of the cure, realizing that you have a problem and making a determination, a moment of clarity, so to speak, and saying, I am going to change? I guess that's one of the first steps in changing, right?
Absolutely, you're spot on. Recognizing the issue is often one of the biggest and most crucial first steps. That moment of clarity where someone admits to themselves, hey, I actually do need to make a change, is often the turning point. Once someone acknowledges it, they can start reaching out for help and taking those steps we talked about. So, yeah, absolutely, awareness and acceptance is a key part of the process.
Why is it difficult for people to have that moment of clarity? It seems like they keep kicking the can down the road and won't have the moment of clarity to make the change. It seems like that to me. Is that the case?
That's a really good question. And I think it's because admitting that there's a problem can feel really daunting or even a bit scary. Sometimes there's stigma attached, or people might feel shame or fear about acknowledging it. And sometimes people genuinely don't realize how much of a hold it has on them because it creeps up gradually. So it's not always easy to have that moment of clarity because it involves facing something that might be uncomfortable or difficult. But once they do, it can definitely be the start of positive change.
And of course, if they make that, have that moment of clarity and go away from alcohol, they won't have that little buzz that they get from the alcohol, which is what they seem to be addicted to, right? That might be too much of a heavy question, Alfred, I don't know, but it seems like people are addicted to the buzz that they get from the alcohol, correct? Well, I guess the answer to that is yes, I think it is.
Ed, Edward, and Alfred, welcome to the show. It's Ed, Edward, and Alfred. They'll keep you in the know.